You might have heard about the case of Wade Wilson, a guy who unalived women, and he drove over one woman and he said he wants to make spaghetti out of her. He has a lot of female admirers. He gets a lot of love letters sent into prison. You very probably have heard about Ted Bundy and the Ted Bundy admirers who went into courtroom, who were flirting with him. He was flirting back with them. He got a lot of love letters sent to prison. You may have heard of Richard Ramirez, who got married in prison with, I think it was a journalist, who fell in love with him. And there is a common theme around it: women falling in love with very dangerous predators. And society is very quick to judge and say these women are insane, they're crazy. The newspapers, journalists are also very, very quick to judge crazy women. And I was also wondering why. Why do women fall in love with dangerous, very violent offenders? And I would like to invite you, I know this is a very sensitive topic and this is in no way meant to undermine the experiences of victims of, those offenders. In fact, it is not even about the offenders right now. I invite you to just dissociate from what occurred and maybe remove your own opinion about, people who are falling in love with somebody who committed the most horrible of crimes, and just explore from a different perspective what drives those women to actually reach out to somebody who is in prison, of whom they know they committed really, really bad crimes, really terrible things, did terrible, violent things to other people. Okay, so I was researching about this topic and I read a lot of books, watched a lot of videos, listened to women who were falling in love with a violent offender, and looked at it also from a psychodynamic perspective. And there's a few themes that you can see that make women reach out to these men. And there are also a few categories that apply to women who are falling in love with violent predators. And one is absent fathers. So there was no father in the family, and these women are then left with, maybe a gap that is too filled, or a void that is too filled with what makes a man and what is more masculine than violence. And the second is religiosity. So a lot of those women who are falling in love with predators, they are very religious, or they are religious. And oftentimes they do have sort of a helper syndrome. They think, I can change this person. They make it their life mission. It can be seen as a extended form of narcissism, where they believe they are the true savior of these men. And then there is also the denial of their own aggression, of their own violence. So they think, or they are suppressing the violence that is within them. And then they have this extended form of violence in a man, while simultaneously being protected from this man. Because where are you more protected than when the man sits in prison? So it might also be a little bit of excitement to have the danger so close to you, and at the same time being protected. And what I found really interesting about women falling in love with offenders, with criminals, not petty criminals, violent criminals, is that there's this man who is there in prison, guarded, watched all day long. And these women at times have made terrible experiences in their childhood and maybe also in their marriages. There were a lot of reports of those women who experienced domestic violence and domestic abuse in their households. And they told themselves, I'm fed up with this. I don't want this anymore. Yet they still have it, but now they're protected from it. So how can I frame this in the best possible way? These women might have felt hopeless, powerless throughout their lives. And then they're in a position where they do hold all of the power. So they're reaching out to this person who's perceived as hypermasculine for them. They reach out to this man knowing they are protected, they're in full power. They could just stop giving all of the resources, like the attention, the money that probably comes along with also being in contact for a while. They could just choose to stop all of this like that. So the man, in a way, the prisoner, in a way, is dependent on them, on their resources, on their attention. If it's a man, that might not be the case for Wade Wilson, that might not have been the case for Ted Bundy, but for other criminals, for other offenders who are in prison, they might have very little contact to people outside of prison, and they might be desperate to have somebody to be in contact with, even when it's just through letters, through monthly meetings, through monthly visits. So they will invest into this conversation, they will invest into this relationship in order to keep it going. So the woman can feel valued, can feel in power, in control, while also being protected, if that makes sense. There is a book that I've read, it's only in German, but it was really insightful. It was looking at this whole theme, at this whole topic from a psychodynamic perspective, which is called in German, Wenn Frauen Verbrecher lieben, so when women fall in love with predators. And what became very visible, very apparent, was that when writing letters was one of the few ways to communicate, then men were more likely to talk about their feelings, which they also then process in prison, process while they're going through therapy. So these men also know what these women want and what these women need. So these women wanted to have this experience that's not too close, yet very close, because it's very personal, being in contact with somebody through writing, and this person pours their feelings out. And that obviously gave these women a feeling of, I can help this person changes through me. So I don't know how likely it is that a lot of very violent offenders are going to change. But what I want to say is that we are so quick to judge the experiences or the lived experiences of these women and their motivations to reach out to a very violent offender. But we rarely look into why do they do that? What is happening with them? And when we look at this, I think, and you let me know if you think makes totally no sense, but I think it does make a lot of sense for those women to have this idea of a man, of this like hyper-masculine man who opens up to her and who becomes all changed and all different with her. She's in control. She has the resources. She has the freedom. He's always, protected. He is always guarded. He's always watched after. She knows where he is. So this gives a lot of power, a lot of like feelings of security to this woman. So from this perspective, it makes a lot of sense. Plus then from this psychodynamic perspective, this like hyper-masculine view of a man, having the danger so close and being able to project because he's not there, right? He's not visibly there. Having the ability to project everything onto this man, everything that what she thinks a man is supposed to be, while not having to see what this man is probably going to be in real life, is a defense mechanism in order not to go into a relationship and to really face and to really work with somebody. So this distance gives a lot of protection. Plus then also from a psychodynamic perspective, looking at this denial of her own aggression and then being able to extend it onto another person is something that can be easier for them to live. So they are not living their experience of aggression. Instead, they have somebody who does it for them and they feel close to that person. So makes sense to me. You let me know if you understand this topic a little bit better, if you understand it at all, if you ever thought about it, if you ever attempted to dissociate from, you know, the apparent strangeness of a situation and just look at it from, that's interesting, what's actually happening there. I think that's really important. I think that's really fascinating to get like a deeper glimpse into people's motivations. And if you would like me to make another video about this, I would love to. Having said that, I wish you a wonderful day and a wonderful time, and I hope I will see you in my next video. Goodbye.